Hi everyone, this is Rhea Se from Remax Westcoast. Recently, my client who is a first-time home buyer asked me to look at foreclosure properties for him. I said, "No, that's a bad idea. Foreclosures are not for you." And we looked at regular properties instead. I thought I'd do a video on this topic so that more people are aware of some of the challenges to buying foreclosures. For those who don't know, foreclosure is a legal process where a mortgage lender takes control of a property when the homeowner fails to pay their mortgage payments as stipulated in the mortgage contract. This forces the lender to repossess the home, evict the homeowner, and sell that property to recover their financial losses. While there are some benefits to buying foreclosure properties for experienced investors, here are my top 5 reasons why first-time home buyers should not consider foreclosure properties in BC for themselves. Number 1, there is a complex court process in place in dealing with foreclosures, so there is a strong likelihood that a judge will eventually determine who the successful buyer is for a foreclosed property. At this stage of the process, several buyers will need to go to court and put in their very best offer for the property. The judge then chooses the winning offer, most likely the one with the highest price, which is to the lender's best advantage for covering their financial losses. So the property is sold almost like in an auction. For a first-time home buyer, it's stressful enough buying just a regular home. Do they really want to go to a courtroom auction and beat down other savvy investors and have a court judge approve the sale of their very first home? Number 2, another factor to consider is that because of this court process for dealing with the sale of the property, the judge would not accept a buyer's bid that has a mortgage component to it. By that stage, the goal is to sell the property as quickly and efficiently as possible for the lender to recoup their costs. Therefore, having a clean and straightforward offer, that is an all-cash deal with no subjects, would be approved by the judge. An offer that is subject to a mortgage plus any of the other subject clauses that you may typically see for an average property sale, such as inspection, or title review, insurance review, or anything else, most likely would not be accepted by the judge. Number 3, first-time home buyers who don't have a mortgage cannot make use of programs that are meant to help them. In British Columbia, there are numerous programs and incentives in place to help lessen the financial burden for first-time home buyers purchasing their first home. Almost all of these programs are contingent on the first-time home buyer having a mortgage to purchase the property. If they have an all-cash deal to buy property and they don't have a mortgage at all, to the government, this just shows that they do not need to benefit from these programs in the first place. So it might be a wasted opportunity for a first-time home buyer to very aggressively purchase a foreclosed property by outbidding the stiff competition with a highly competitive price, when they're actually fully entitled to a range of tax benefits and straightforward savings for just buying their first ever home. Number 4, the property is sold as is. In other words, the seller is selling the property in whatever condition it is currently in, and the buyer fully accepts all the apparent and hidden faults with the home. Actually, foreclosed properties may be in decent shape, but they may also be in bad condition for many reasons. One common reason is that the homeowner is very angry about losing their home to the lender, and they may have poorly maintained the property, sometimes even on purpose and out of frustration. Depending on the property's condition, a buyer may need to have a generous renovation budget in order to get the home ready for move-in condition. This is something that a first-time home buyer may not have fully prepared for. Number 5, the homeowner will be very uncooperative with the buyer. They just lost their home to the lender, so don't expect them to be nice and chummy to the successful buyer for a smooth handover process. In fact, homeowners of foreclosed properties most likely will not let prospective buyers view the property unless a court order is in place. I've heard of one case where one seething mad homeowner repeatedly appealed the court decision just to stall time as much as possible and to prevent anyone from viewing the property for the court-ordered sale if she can help it. Often, realtors might never have stepped into a foreclosed property before listing it on the market, so they know absolutely nothing about the interior of the home. Also, it is common for buyers to have never been inside before putting in a competitive offer. You can definitely expect the homeowner not to share the history of the home repairs or other things to watch out for in the neighborhood or on the property. This is in sharp contrast with most sellers for regular properties who would prefer having a decent relationship with the new buyer and leaving their home on a high note. Purchasing a foreclosed property is not for the faint of heart and is usually done well by the very seasoned property investor. As a side note, if you think these investors must be very rich and have tons of money kept aside and ready to go purchase a foreclosed property when the right investment comes along, that actually might not be the case. Many buyers of foreclosures assemble the money from whatever means possible, whether it's their own funds plus a line of credit or borrowing from other investors and friends, whatever it takes to put together that cash deal for the judge to review. Once the judge approves their deal and the property officially belongs to them, then these investors could turn around and approach their mortgage broker to get a mortgage for that foreclosed property and sort out their finances afterwards. So this is some serious maneuvering by experienced investors, and I do not recommend first-time home buyers to strategize their first home purchase in this way, as it's complicated and potentially risky if their financial calculations are off. For the average first-time home buyer who's looking to buy their first ever home to live in themselves, I say that buying a foreclosed property is likely too overwhelming, too complicated, and too much of a hassle. Maybe once they become seasoned investors with some property investment experience, who are familiar and comfortable with the auction-like foreclosure process and are able to come up with a subject-free cash offer, then at that point, foreclosed properties could be a good option for them. If you have any specific questions about foreclosures or would just like to talk about your own real estate situation, please feel free to contact me anytime. For this month's prize draw, I am giving away a $25 Canadian Tire gift card. To participate in this draw, just send me the words foreclosure by text, WhatsApp, WeChat, or by email before this date and time below. See you next time.